Pretty much on the right there's not a huge thing here, but what you will notice on the Treo 680 here is a actual compartment. This is where the SIM card goes. Now in the 600 the SIM card was actually the slot in the top here, so there's again some differences there. Also what you'll notice here is, we might as well I guess do the top, seeing that we're in that area now, is that on the 680 here you've got a little slider switch here which is for turning the volume, the sound on and off, which is very handy if you go into a movie theatre. You don't have to kind of navigate through 25 menus to get there. And you had a similar button up here on the Treo 600, but you also had the actual on-off radio button here to actually turn the radio part of the phone off. And on the 680, this red button here actually provides that. It turns the screen off, but it also turns by holding it down for a few seconds, it actually turns the phone off. So again, a bit of relocation of buttons. The other thing also, in a bit of variation here, is just the little compartment here. If I can slide it up, there's basically the SIM card which goes in the slot on the top here on the 600. On the 680 it's actually under the battery, so in fact I'll just take the battery out, and you can actually see here there's a little slider tray, and I won't put it all the way out, but you can sort of see basically it just tucks in there. I guess if you've got a need to, for whatever reason, chop or change your SIM cards around, it's a bit more of an inconvenient sort of place to put it, but probably for me not a real hassle, because to be honest I never really change the SIM around. I mean, once it's in there, it's in there. Of course, by taking the battery out now, it's rebooting. And in fact, this is one of the other things that you do notice between the new generation, is that the old models had a little hole just where my thumb is on the right there on the 600, and that's where you would actually poke a paperclip to reset the phone. Well, there is no reset hole on the new phone. Basically, what I did is how you reset it. If you need to reset it, if some rogue application locks up, you just take the battery out for a second and pop it back in, and it effectively will reboot the device. So probably you can think about it, is probably a little bit easier. Initially I thought it's a bit of a pain not having a reset button, because I probably sometimes experiment with different applications, and if something doesn't work properly, it is actually handy having the little reset hole in the back of the OS, but sorry, in the back of case of the system. But really, sometimes you don't have a paperclip or some little thing to poke through the little hole to reset as a handy sort of thing. So in fact, probably being able to remove the battery is actually convenient. You don't require any special tools, basically. I won't do a direct comparison, but I will tell you that it certainly takes a little bit longer to restart. That whole process we just went through while I was talking, where it was going through the startup screens and rebooting and reconnecting to the phone service, I would almost say it's twice as long as my 600. It certainly does take a little bit longer, which is a little bit frustrating. Now, one of the other things which is interesting too is the speed in which I seem to be able to navigate to things. So I'll actually just go here to, maybe I'll just pick the home application page to start off with. And you might have even noticed then, what it seems is that if I go to the same thing, so I'll maybe just go to the phone book, and I'll try to press these at the same time if I can. Boom. You can see on the right it loads up quicker. I'll go to the calendar application. Whoops daisy, that wasn't fair, I didn't do that at the same time. Okay, we'll go to the calendar application. That's about the same time there. We'll try the SMS application. Oh, again, we'll just go back to the same thing. Try the SMS application. Now you can definitely see a lag there. On the right, it actually loaded up, probably a second or two faster, and on the left, it was slower. And the funny thing is that, in fact, I've just finished sort of synchronizing a lot of my data over to the new Treo 680 on the left. Now, one of the things it hasn't done is actually taken all my database. You can just see on the right here, I'm scrolling through all the history of my SMS messages, it hasn't actually converted or synced that over. I'm doing a bit of reading online at the moment to try to work out if there's some trick around that, but it's something that is a little bit frustrating, because I really do want to get the history of my SMSs, because they're actually they're grouped in a very handy chat style thread on these Treos, so it does actually make it very useful to have the history there all grouped together. And so given that there's actually probably more information to display or to load up on my old Treo 600, it's interesting how there's just this extra lag time. So maybe the next one I'll do is, let's see, just turn the screen back on there again. Maybe I'll go to applications, so I'll just get my thumbs in the relevant positions here. So we'll try and press that at the same time. And again, you can just see on the right, it just loads up virtually straight away. On the left, there's just a definite lag. So it's a little bit frustrating. I'm going to do a bit more research on this to see if there's some trick or something I'm missing here. But the irony here is that the Treo 600 on the right uses a 144 megahertz processor, and on the left, the current generation, the 680 and the 650 before it, actually I think use a 300 or a 305 or something like that processor. So again, it's meant to be twice as fast in processing, and yet it is actually slower loading up the screens, which is a little bit irritating. And I don't know whether that's because the screen resolution's higher and the OS is a little bit more complicated, or what it is that causes that, but obviously there is a little bit of variation there.